Welcome to a new little segment on the pylon called Unscripted. This is just me taking the hour-long drive back to my house after a long day of work and an extremely annoying but I guess eye-opening past 24 hours. I live in Lynchburg, Virginia, and so I'm not like really used to all this severe weather BS that some of you may be accustomed to so far, but we got hit by a damn tornado last night. Oh my gosh, the neighbor across the street from us, their fence got like ripped across the lawn into the street. They were building a new house in front of us as well, and it's not even done being built really, but a tree fell on it. That sucks. Our AC units got ripped out of place. Our lawnmower got flipped over. The trash can flew into our neighbor's car. It was crazy. But perhaps most of all, the most annoying part of it, but the most, I guess, sobering and the most sobering fact is the fact that I'm realizing how much of a spoiled first world technology dependent bastard I really am. It's been what? Actually, not even. I don't think it even has been 24 hours without power. Sorry if I have bags under my eye. I've been up since 4. It's 5 now, just leaving work. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so like, yeah, I'm like really, really dependent on technology. I'm going crazy without it. I have to sleep without the fan on, and I'm dreading the fact that I'm gonna go home and literally I can't be on my computer. I have to save my phone energy. Matter of fact, I'm on this ghetto life right now. Probably before I go to bed, I'm gonna come back into my car and just sit in here and charge it till it gets to 100% so I can wake up tomorrow morning for work. And it's also sad that I probably stayed an extra, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours at work just so I wouldn't. I dreaded going back home, but I can't stay there forever. I need a shower, and I don't even know if I'm gonna even have any. Why am I? Oh, sorry. This is a sports channel, not a Milton complains about his life reality channel or whatever. But yeah, that's the reason why. Anyway, yeah, this segment is called Unscripted, where I just give my unscripted sports opinion at random points in my day. It's probably going to be times when I'm driving back from work because it takes like an hour to get home. So let's get started. The big news of the past 3 days is obviously Dez Bryant finally being released by the Dallas Cowboys. So many layers to that story and what went down. I posted the video, should the Cowboys move on from Dez Bryant? I think Thursday, and the day after he met with Jerry Jones in a meeting that didn't last too long. The writing was on the wall. As soon as Dez Bryant entered the room, that dark room with just Jerry Jones sitting with his feet propped up on the table. Demond Bryant, it's over. We're at the end of the road. Then, of course, you know, Dez Bryant's gonna act like the spoiled ex-girlfriend or person who just got dumped and just say the classics, F that B, and drive off. Sorry, Dallas. So what I did say last Thursday is that the Cowboys shouldn't have got rid of him. Because, yeah, he was making too much for, I guess, his production that has dropped the past 3 years in a row. But you cutting Dez Bryant, you're making yourself worse as a team. The Dallas Cowboys got a lot worse as a team after cutting Dez Bryant. So right now your number one receiver is Allen Hurns, who's pretty much a one-year wonder. he's either coming off of a down year or an injury-ridden year, or either way, he's only had one good season since he's entered the league. Jason Witten probably runs like a 6.5 40 time. He's at the end of the road. He's going to give you probably about 1 to 2 catches a game. He's not really going to have that much of an impact anymore. And then you have little Cole Beasley, who's Cole Beasley. You know, nothing special. He's a decent, little slot guy, but you're not going to depend on him to take the grunt work and the brunt of all the targets and catches and yards and all that. No. And little Ryan Switzer. So basically your team's made up of, so far, your team is made up of a number 2, low-end number 2, playing a number 1 role, and a whole bunch of third options filling in behind them. It's a ragtag team of wide receivers to a quarterback, with a quarterback that doesn't even like to take chances, doesn't like to spread the wealth. So once they get open, like, what are you going to do? Your offense is handicapped. And this is also going to impact Ezekiel Elliott, obviously. And again, I'm not saying that, last year was, Dez Bryant in 2012 through 2014. No, he wasn't, but he's still a good player. Like I said, 800 yards, 70 catches, 6 or 7 touchdowns. That type of production works for most teams, especially the Cowboys are a run-based team. So what, you want the guy to go over 1,400 yards consistently, even though you're trying to give Zeke his 1,400 yards, and then I feel like the Cowboys are maybe sadly just feeding Jason Witten some catches here and there, and he still has no impact on the game. So you got rid of one of your best players, even though he's in the declining phase. And unless the Cowboys have some draft coup plan up their sleeves or whatever, my bad, I'll die for y'all. Not really, I'm just bored driving back half the time. But unless they plan on moving up in, the top maybe 10, top 10, top 12, something like that, to get a Calvin Ridley, who's a filthy route runner, but he doesn't provide that physical presence that Dez Bryant would have given your receiving core, or even a DJ Moore, who I think is one of the combine stars. They weren't really talking about him before the combine, and all of a sudden he has a great workout, and the rest is history. He's shooting up draft boards. Is that going to be your number 1? Also, Courtland Sutton. He's probably the closest thing you can get in the draft, who's most similar to Dez Bryant. But again, he's looked at a late first rounder, early second rounder type of player. So Dez's replacement in the draft isn't exactly immediate. It's not exactly obvious. So where do the Cowboys go from here? They have no cap space. What this release tells me is that this wasn't just... Hold up. Ah! These cars are probably passing by. They're like, what the fuck is this asshole doing? This wasn't a football move, and Dez really alluded to it. And I always complain that sports media outlets, just try to make up a story, even if it's not necessarily there, add unnecessary drama that doesn't need to be there, add angles that are being stretched more than they should be. But it's blatantly obvious because, one, the dude wasn't even offered a pay cut. I get it, the Cowboys are, I think they only have maybe like 1.5 million in cap space or before Dez Bryant's release, but the guy said he was willing to take a pay cut. You see how Dez Bryant talks. The guy is very, very passionate about wearing that star on his helmet. He loves being a Dallas Cowboy, and I highly doubt he's even going to leave the Dallas area, and he's probably going to get an apartment in the city where the next team he plays in, but I highly doubt he's just going to up and move everything out of Dallas. That is his home. That is... That is his home. That is his comfort place. He loves being there, but he was forced out. With the type of passion that Dez Bryant has for the Dallas Cowboys, the guy would have taken a pay cut, and he probably would have made freaking dirt compared to his actual ability right now. Dude probably would have taken $3 to $5 million a year type of deal, packed with incentives, just to stay in Dallas because that's where he's most happy. But the fact that it was just Jerry Jones in the room, and there wasn't anyone else who handles the money, who handles, the construction of the team. They weren't man enough. They didn't have the balls to face Dez Bryant man to man. It wasn't about football. And that's where the reports about discord between Dak Prescott and Dez Bryant are starting to come into the picture, because one, obviously they were not connecting. Jason Garrett, Stephen Jones, they have been openly critical about Dez Bryant in the past few months, since his decline took place. And Dez Bryant is the type of player that wears his heart on his sleeve, and the type of guys that the Cowboys are bringing in now, they want them to fit, the status quo. They don't want someone who's going to challenge the coaching staff and call them out on their bluff, call them out on their BS. They don't want someone like Dez Bryant who's not going to be afraid to stand up to them. Usher in the new era with, straight-laced, almost Russell Wilson-like, but mature Dak Prescott. You don't have to worry about anything with him. The next knucklehead you have is Zeke, and this Dez Bryant departure should also send a clear message to Ezekiel Elliott, because he has the off-the-field shenanigans. He doesn't carry himself as emotionally as Dez does on the field. I don't see Zeke as a type that would yell at coaching staff and get in fights with them. But still, he does have his documented shenanigans, and he's had about 3-4 strikes right now, and he's still on his rookie deal. So unless Zeke doesn't button up these next few years, he could see himself in an Odell Beckham type of situation where the team is openly trying to trade you despite you still being one of the best, if not the best, at your position. Because egos are what drives football operations, not necessarily talent. And the higher-ups, the guys who pay the players, they don't like to be challenged. So, and it's even going to be worse for Ezekiel Elliott if he doesn't straighten up his act, because he's a running back. Everybody wants, that next best great wide receiver, but in the next 3-4 years or whatever, when Ezekiel Elliott's deal runs out, they're going to be saying, oh, you're approaching your 30s. You play a high-impact position. We don't want to give you this. And they're going to factor in not only the fact that he's a running back, but also the early off-the-field stuff that has been impacting his career. So he definitely needs to watch that. All in all, this was in my opinion, a very, very shady move by the Dallas Cowboys that was clearly orchestrated by what Dez said, the Garrett guys, Jason Garrett himself, and Stephen Jones, because Dez Bryant is not afraid to stand up to the higher-ups. Also, another Garrett guy, Dak Prescott. It's clearly obvious why they're two very polar opposite type of players. Dak is very even-keeled. He carries his emotions well. Dez Bryant's the exact opposite. He's liable to pop off at any moment in time and just wreak havoc all on the sideline. Then throw along the fact that they didn't have any on-field chemistry. Dak Prescott wants to make the right read. He does not want to take a lot of risks, as opposed to Dez Bryant's previous quarterback that would just chuck the ball up to him. Tony Romo said Dez Bryant just loves it when you, throw the ball directly just past his head, make him go up and go get it, snatch it over the defender, throw up the X or whatever. Dak Prescott is not that type of quarterback. He's not going to throw to you unless, you're wide open. I don't think Dez Bryant's ever been that type of wide open receiver, despite what people were saying that he's losing his ability to separate. He never really did separate. He separated just off of the fact he's 6'5", 6'4", 230 pounds of just straight beast. So what he excels at isn't something that Dak Prescott excels at. Dak Prescott, drop back, survey, You're not open, I'm not even going to look at you anymore. I don't want to throw you no 50-50 balls. I'm not going to throw to you unless you're open enough to the point where I feel comfortable throwing to you so the ball doesn't get picked off. And then also, Jason Witten, a very, very respected locker room leader, one of the Garrett guys, one of the captains, he probably also had a large part in the release of Dez Bryant. And, you know, everyone wants to paint Jason Witten as, you know, this polite, soft-spoken country boy, straight for the team, yada, yada, yada. Yet, we have a guy like Martellus Bennett, who was brought up as a Jason Witten backup, and the guy said Witten's pretty much a douchebag. He's not an actual veteran who's for the team. Mostly he's a veteran for himself. Martellus Bennett was a very, very young tight end coming into the league and wanted to learn from the all-time greats, and the guy wasn't willing to help him. Straight up. Selfishness and ulterior motives exist within that Dallas Cowboys organization, which works against a player like Dez, who is genuinely I'll say that, yeah, Dez, I would say, is a selfless player in the sense that he cares about the well-being of the team. Now, obviously, he's a wide receiver. He's going to win his targets, but as long as Dez is winning, I'm pretty sure he does not care that much about his stats, as long as he sees his teammates excel, as long as he feels like his teammates are respecting him. Dez is a classic football player. He's not a business guy, you know, a guy with ulterior motives and other business ventures and interests and all that. No, the guy, football saved his life. Football is why he's not in jail right now or probably buried under the ground somewhere. The guy just cares about football and cares about the team because the team is probably the closest family he's ever had in his life. So where does Dez go from here? Well, judging by what he said he wanted, he wants to stay in the NFC East so he can stick it to the Cowboys twice a year, which I don't necessarily agree with. I mean, get over it. The dude dumped you. You don't need to show up to where he works every few weeks to, you know, try to show off and let him know you still exist. The Cowboys still know you exist. They just don't want you anymore. So, you know, they're not thinking about you anymore, so why think about them? But I digress because Dez Bryant's a very, very emotional, passionate guy. So stuff like that's probably going to fuel him to sort of get back to that point where he was at in some of the best years of his career. So maybe it is a great idea for him to stay in the NFC East as far as his legacy as a player. So considering all that, let's go through the NFC East teams, and we're going to settle on one. The Philadelphia Eagles, Dez isn't going there. And the reason I say that is because, one, they have no cap space, even though Dez is letting it be known that he doesn't really care about money. But I think the Eagles only have maybe like $4 million or $1 million in cap space right now. And not only that, they have so many personalities on that team. And I get it's good that you have the marketable Christian white guy as your lead dog, as your quarterback. But when you have a Mike Wallace there, Dez Bryant, Michael Bennett, who's also in some legal troubles, Timmy Jernigan. I hate it when people text me. I don't hang out with anyone. Like, guys, I literally don't have a social life. I don't get why people still hit me up anymore. I'm not going to hang out with you. I'm going to go home. I'll get to that at the end of this. But anyway, so Timmy Jernigan, he also has some character issues. And it's not even character issues per se. It's just strong personalities and, you can only have so much of that on your team at once before it goes downhill. So that's why I'm cutting the Philadelphia Eagles out of this. Oh, it also, they already have a player in the mold of Dez Bryant and Alshon Jeffrey. Slow, big guy who can't separate, but who can jump out the gym and snatch the ball out of the air. So, yeah. They already have a player like Dez Bryant. No money. They don't need any more strong personalities. Moving on to the New York Giants. No. Again, lack of money. You already have a diva in Odell Beckham, who apparently Giants ownership and Eli Manning, they're so sensitive of people, they can't handle a high-maintenance wide receiver, even though, you know, wide receiver is the most high-maintenance position on any team in the league. But yeah, they're not going to want to add another strong personality like that to their receiving core. And then also, I think the Giants might be a little wary of signing these veteran guys who are on their last legs, who have dealt with lower body extremity injuries, and who are on the tail ends of their career. Victor Cruz, they tried that with him, and ended horribly. They tried that last year with Brandon Marshall, and did horribly. They wasted their money, they wasted their time. I don't think they're going to want to still keep on beating the same dead horse with Dez Bryant. It's not going to work. But the Washington Redskins will work. And which is funny because just talking to Cowboys fans and seeing how they get up for the division games every single year, it seems like the Redskins are their most hated rival. So that's great TV right there. Dez Bryant, the all-time touchdown scoring leader at the wide receiver position for Dallas, going to their most hated rival to finish out his career after getting cut, facing him twice a year, even joining one of his top nemesis in Josh Norman to help take down the Cowboys. That's good stuff. Not even that. Dez Bryant is the type of receiver that takes pride in his blocking. So he's going to have a chance to get out one of those Garrett guys, Sean Lee. Maybe pop him, give him a crack back one good time. Possibly take him out the game. I think it's a match made in heaven. The Redskins, they have more cap space than anyone in the division. They have, I think, about $24 million in cap space, a lot of money to throw towards Dez Bryant. And before last year, I would have said, if Alex Smith was the quarterback for the Redskins, I would say this would be a horrible move because he's a quarterback in the mold of Dak Prescott. Until 2017. Alex Smith was Pro Football Focus's top deep ball thrower at the quarterback position. Alex Smith tried something new with his game. He reinvented himself, and he ended up having the best year of his career, was an MVP candidate early on. So Alex Smith, who's still very, very efficient, he has that efficient part of his game, also added a deep ball part to his game where he can just throw the ball up. He trusts his arm to throw the ball up accurately, and a guy like Dez Bryant who excels in coming down with it. It's perfect. He'll go in there and be the number one receiver over Paul Richardson, Josh Doxson, Jordan Reed. He can't stay healthy. Jamison Crowder, he's more of a third option type of guy, punt returner. So Dez is going to get the bulk of the targets. He can get his money. He can get a quarterback who fits his style. He'll get his targets. He'll be the number one. Redskins. Makes perfect sense. He says he wants to stay in the division. So as soon as the Redskins kick the tires on Dez Bryant, which why wouldn't they? There does not exist a number one receiver on the Redskins roster. Now, they can get Calvin Ridley or DJ Moore if they truly believe they're going to be number one type of guys, but at this point, even in their rookie seasons, Dez Bryant is going to be a better receiver than those guys, probably for the next 2 years. Why not take him? And then if you want, you can take another receiver. You can take a receiver wherever they pick, 13th, 14th, 16th, wherever they pick. You can still take him. So, yeah. So, all in all, in this Dez Bryant situation, what I gleaned from it, Dez is real. What you see is what you get with them. The Cowboys are a very, very shady organization, and I think even, quick note, even Jerry Jones has probably brainwashed Dez Bryant into thinking he actually loves him. No, Jerry Jones cuts the checks. If he wanted you on there, Dez, he still would. It wasn't just a Stephen Jones and Jason Garrett thing. Yeah, it was. They probably orchestrated it, and they were probably in Jerry Jones's ear, but ultimately Jerry Jones makes the decisions, and he's the one who cuts your check. So if he wanted to keep you, he would have. So there's that. And then also, Dez's best fit perhaps lies in the Cowboys' most heated division rival, the Washington Redskins. Match made in heaven, quarterback, money, get your targets. And you still play in a large market. Let's see, what other headlines did I read about today? I'm out of water. Damn it. I saw the Broncos released running back CJ Anderson, which I thought was very, very interesting because before this move, I thought that it was very, very likely. There are bags under my eyes. God dang. What? Yeah, I'm tired. I thought it was interesting because they pick at number 5, so I thought even regardless of the Case Keenum signing, I thought, hey, like John Elway, he needs to get his guy at quarterback. He needs his next best thing since Peyton Manning. He needs someone he can grow with because he keeps on missing with these guys that he's putting under center. So something has to give. So I thought a guy like Josh Rosen, who I think is the best pure passer, most polished quarterback in this class, most natural quarterback, I thought he was a fit for Denver. Or maybe even a Josh Allen if he gets there, which reports are now saying that Josh Allen could go number 1. And then, probably, the draft is 2 weeks away now, we're going to be hearing Quentin Nelson, the guard from Notre Dame, could go number 1. So smoke screens are going up all around the place. But, yeah, I definitely thought that the Broncos were going to get either a Josh Rosen, Baker Mayfield, whoever, the top quarterback who would have been available at number 5. But it's looking like the forgotten man could be Saquon Barkley. Now, there was a probably week and a half stretch where everyone thought, oh, Saquon, he's the guy who could go number 1. He's Cleveland's pick. Or maybe he could go number 4, and he still could go number 4, but it doesn't look like he's going to go number 1 now. But with reports of that are questioning his actual game-to-game impact, and reports that are kind of exposing him as an ordinary running back prospect, stock is down on Saquon Barkley for now. It could rise again in the next week. Who knows? So maybe Broncos feel like they have a chance at getting what some still consider the best overall player in the draft at number 5. They think they could probably snag him. Release a veteran CJ Anderson. You didn't really need him anyway. He's solid, but he's kind of unspectacular. You don't know what you're going to get. You're not going to get much production out of him. Saquon Barkley, the knock that I hear some people say is that he's not an every down back. He's not a 25 to 30 carry type of player, but the guy's going to go top 5. Regardless, he's going to go top 5. And even if he goes top 10, top 15, first round, you're not going to draft a third down 10 to 15 touch type of guy in the first round, and Saquon's a deadlock to go in the first round. So whatever team picks him is going to truly believe that he's the one that is going to carry the load, which I think he could. He's very, very thickly built. He's solid. I don't know if too many injury. I don't know if he's even suffered an injury, to be honest. But yeah, very, very interesting by the Broncos. You release your top running back. You pick number 5. You have a chance to get perhaps one of the best running back prospects that's come out in probably the past decade. Maybe could surpass Zeke. You already got your quarterback. So yeah, that would be a very, very interesting move on the Broncos, who they need pop on offense. They got the 2 wide receivers, Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. They're very, very capable, but they just haven't had the guy to throw to them. And I think John Elway is at a point right now where he doesn't have the patience to keep on developing these young quarterbacks. He's probably afraid of missing again, like he did with Paxton Lynch. So he just figured, hey, I know what I'm going to get out of Case Keenum. And you saw what happens when you put the career backup in a good situation. He ends up being an MVP candidate. I don't know if Case Keenum is the type of player that's going to repeat that production, but, you know, the jury's still out. Good luck to him. But John Elway still feels like his squad can win now. He feels like they could still win the AFC West. He feels like the team can still make a legitimate push at New England with the pieces still in place, with Chris Harris, Bradley Roby, Von Miller. You got Shane Ray, who came on a little bit, even though they could still probably take Bradley Chubb too. They could still use some help on defense. Then you got, you know, the veteran wide receivers. So you got some pieces that you can work with. So you make the smart signing, which the Case Keenum signing is smart. Perhaps it could even end up looking smarter than them signing Kirk Cousins and not breaking the bank for him. You get a solid veteran, add an offensive jitterbug who's a home run hitter in the draft, probably the best player, and, you know, you're ready to compete with an inconsistent Raiders team, a Chiefs team who's going to be breaking in a first-year quarterback, or, well, a second-year quarterback who's going to be starting for the first time. And who else? And a fraud team like the Los Angeles Chargers. So yeah, interesting. Like I said, the word's interesting. You know, it's probably a release that isn't going to gain much publicity. Not everyone's really going to talk about it, but the only reason I'm talking about it is it's because it can coincide with one of the most covered players in the draft possibly going to Denver. What else? I have an Odell video that I'm gonna edit once my power gets on, so I don't have to really cover that. I did something else. I had another video. I'll figure it out when I get home. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this unscripted, rambling pylon video, whatever you want to call it. I'm about to go home and definitely just lay in the dark and get some sleep. Because, yeah, I'm tired and I'm annoyed. So, see you guys later.